The American Yawp, Chapter 28. If the more famous Woodstock Music Festival in New York captured the spirit of the 60s youth culture, the death of Meredith Hunter at the Altamont concert in San Francisco in late 1969 revealed its darker side. There, drugs, music, and youth were associated not with peace and love, but with anger, violence, and death. While many Americans in the 1970s continued to celebrate the political and cultural achievements of the previous decade, a more anxious conservative mood grew across the country. For some, the United States had not gone nearly far enough to promote social equality. Women and gays in particular would continue their fight for social and political equality in the 70s. For others, though, the nation had gone too far, unfairly trampling the rights of one group to promote the selfish needs of another. On to these brewing dissatisfactions, the 1970s dumped the divisive remnants of a failed war, the country's greatest political scandal, and an intractable economic crisis. It seemed as if the nation was ready to unravel. No single issue contributed more to public disillusionment than the Vietnam War. As the living room war, as they called it, deteriorated, stalemates, body counts, unclear war aims, and the draft itself catalyzed an anti-war movement and triggered thousands of public protests throughout the United States and abroad. With no end in sight, protesters burned their draft cards, refused to pay income taxes, and occupied government buildings in an effort to stop the fighting. Reeling from the war's growing unpopularity, President Johnson, who had initially taken office after JFK's tragic assassination in '63, announced on national television that he would not seek a second term. The resulting chaotic Democratic Party's national convention in Chicago in 1968 revealed a Democratic political party now in disarray. For many Americans, violent clashes between police and protesters outside that convention hall reinforced their belief that civil society was unraveling. Richard Nixon, former vice president under Eisenhower and loser of the 1960 campaign against Kennedy, appealed to the so-called silent majority of Americans who still supported the war and opposed the anti-war movement by calling for an honorable end to U.S. involvement in Vietnam, what he later would call peace with honor. Once in the White House, Richard Nixon focused his energies on American foreign policy. On the one hand, Nixon asserted the supremacy of American democratic capitalism and conceded that the United States will continue supporting its allies financially. However, he denounced previous administrations' willingness to commit American forces to the Third World conflicts of the Cold War and warned other states to assume responsibility for their own defense. He was turning America away from the policy of active anti-communist containment and toward a new strategy of détente. The energy crisis, the Pentagon Papers controversy, and the Watergate break-in scandal and conspiracy brought President Nixon down in scandal. And though he insisted he was not a crook, he resigned before he could be removed from office. Nixon's departure coincided with a painful retreat in post-war economic prosperity across the country. Growing international competition, technological inefficiency, and declining productivity gains stunted working and middle-class wages in the 1970s. As the country entered recession, the tax code became less progressive and labor lost its foothold in the marketplace. Factories shuttered across the North and the Midwest, leading commentators to dub America's former industrial heartland the Rust Belt. With this, they contrasted the prosperous and dynamic new Sun Belt of the South and the West. Many upwardly mobile Americans and their corporations fled to these lower tax, lower regulation states in the South and West, triggering local economic booms and radically shifting the U.S. electoral map. Enter wholesome Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter, whose time on the national stage was plagued by economic inflation and a crisis of confidence that struck at the very heart and soul of our national will, as he put it. Carter used the power of the presidency to push foreign policy based on the defense of human rights, but the 1979 hostage crisis in Iran, coupled with a Soviet invasion of Afghanistan that same year, weakened the Democrat Carter and opened the door for a decidedly nostalgic political movement in American life. After nearly 2 decades of social upheaval in America, it would be morning in America once again.